In the emptiness of space, one small ship drifts alone. Her engines cough like a dying animal. Her metal skin is pitted and scarred from years of neglect. This is Horizon's Folly, the weakest ship in the entire human fleet. And tonight, she's going to stand between two alien armadas that have been killing each other for 800,000 years. And she's going to do it alone, because the moment the first alien fleet detects her, they will think she's a threat. The second fleet will think the same, and both will destroy her without hesitation. But the humans have given Horizon's Folly one last order: delay them at all costs. Above the dying planet of Vathros 4, Horizon's Folly hung in orbit like a piece of forgotten trash. Lash and Rafe leaned against the rail of the bridge, watching static dance across the main view screen. His uniform wasn't regulation, just a worn cargo jacket with a faded patch that used to read Earth Merchant Guild. Rafe wasn't Navy. He wasn't even a soldier. He'd hauled freight for 20 years. Crates of grain, mining drills, medical supplies. He'd never seen a battle up close. And now, his ship was on the front line of the oldest, deadliest war in the galaxy, down in the engine bay. Juno was on her back, half inside a maintenance hatch. Her hands were covered in black grease, her short hair stuck to her forehead with sweat. She swore softly as another ancient coupling refused to lock into place. "Try it now," she yelled up, toward the bridge. Rafe glanced at the console and hit the power feed. The lights flickered. The hum of the reactor deepened, and then sputtered out again. Juno crawled out, wiping her hands on her jumpsuit. "That was the last spare coupling," she muttered. "If the core blows, we're going dark for good." Rafe gave her a tired smile. "Then let's hope nothing bad happens." It was almost funny. Almost. The ship's AI, a voice with the calm tone of a polite librarian, interrupted them. "Captain, I am detecting mass energy signatures at extreme range." Straightened. "Define extreme, 7.4 light minutes. Closing thousands of signatures. 2 distinct formations." Juno frowned. 2 formations. The AI's voice stayed calm, but the data scrolling across the screen was anything but. Massive energy spikes. Shield harmonics. Drive signatures older than human civilization itself. The captain stepped closer to the display. "Oh yes." And his stomach went cold to fleets, one approaching from the galactic north, one from the south, both massive, both armed to the teeth. The AI expanded the view. The fleets looked like tidal waves of steel and fire, kilometer-long ships bristling with weapons. Thousands of them stretching across the black. Rafe whispered, "God help us." Juno leaned in. "Who are they?" The AI didn't hesitate. Identified Zorthi Dominion and Valkyrie Continuum. Ongoing conflict duration, 800,612 years. Juno's mouth fell open. 800,000 years. Confirmed. The war has no recorded ceasefires. Estimated casualties, 91% of all intelligent life. Forms in their contested space. Rafe felt a sick weight settle in his chest. He'd heard stories of the war everyone had, but they were myths, like monsters in the dark. Wars didn't last that long. Civilizations didn't survive that long. And yet here they were. Both fleets burning toward him. "Plot us a course back to human space," he said quickly. "Negative, Captain." "Incoming priority command from fleet." "Command." A text order appeared on the screen. 6 words. Kind of order no sane captain ever wanted to read. "Delay them. At all costs." Rafe stared at it for a long moment. "This is a joke," he muttered. "We're a freighter. Got no weapons worth mentioning? They can't be serious." But the order stayed. It was real. Juno gave a bitter laugh. "What are we supposed to do? Throw wrenches at them?" The AI spoke again, voice still maddeningly calm. "Both fleets have adjusted course. Estimated interception in 13 minutes. They are scanning our vessel." Rafe's eyes darted to the display. Both alien armadas were shifting, their enormous formations turning in unison. And now, both were heading straight for Horizon's Folly. The reality hit him like a punch to the gut. They weren't just passing through. They saw him. "They've detected us," Rafe whispered. In that moment, the bridge felt impossibly small. The air felt heavy, the hum of the dying reactor too loud. Far out in the darkness, those fleets were growing, filling the void with warships that blotted out the stars. 800,000 years of hate, and humanity's weakest ship was the only thing standing in their way. Rafe gripped the rail tighter, his knuckles white. "Juno, get me every scrap of power you can." "From where?" she shot back. "We've got nothing left to give." "Then steal it from life support if you have to." She froze. "If I do that, we've got maybe 4 hours of breathable air." He met her eyes. "That might be for hours more than we've got otherwise." The AI interrupted again. 12 minutes until contact. "Shall I attempt communications?" Rafe hesitated, then nodded. "Do it."
Ow.
The ship's comms array crackled. To life, sending out a wideband hail. "Tension, unidentified fleets. This is Captain Rafe of the human freighter Horizon's Folly. We request safe passage. We are not part of your conflict." The response came almost instantly. 2 different voices. Alien, layered, distorted. One cold and metallic, the other deep and resonant. Both said the same thing: surrender or be vaporized. Juno cursed under her breath. That went well. Rafe's jaw tightened. "We can't fight them. We can't outrun them, so we stall them." Somehow, he didn't know how. Not yet, but as the enemy fleets loomed closer, blotting out the void, he knew one thing for certain. If Horizon's Folly failed, human space would be next, and that could not allow the comms. Panel lit again. 2 fleets, both now accelerating toward the same point in space, their weapons arming, and in the center of their collision course, Horizon's Folly. The alien fleets had stopped firing at each other. For 800,000 years, they'd slaughtered without pause. But now, for the first time in all that endless war, they were united against one target, a human freighter, called Horizon's Folly. And both sides believed the same thing, that this rusted cargo ship was the key to ending the war forever. The bridge of the Horizon's Folly felt like the inside of a coffin. Rafe stood at the comms console, staring at the alien messages as they scrolled across the screen. Strange, jagged symbols. It's unreadable. Until the ship's AI finished its translation. Message from Zorathi Dominion. "Surrender immediately. Relinquish the beacon. You are ancient enemy." Juno glanced up from the engineering console. "Beacon? We don't have a beacon." AI ignored her, continuing. Message from Valtheri. "Continuum. Deliver the weapon, or be annihilated. You are the remnant." Rafe frowned. "Remnant of what?" The AI's voice, calm but sharper than before, replied, "Captain, both factions identify humanity as a surviving branch of the precursor race." The words hung in the air. Precursor. A legend. A ghost race that vanished 1,000,000 years ago, leaving only myths, ruins, and terror in their wake. Rafe shook his head. "That's impossible. Humans came from Earth. We've got our history." Juno cut him off. "AI, why would they think that? The signal you broadcast during your hail was not standard human code. It was ancient precursor frequency. It's highly classified, possibly dormant for over 900 millennia. Rafe's stomach tightened. "I didn't authorize any precursor signal?" "You did not. It was embedded in the emergency distress beacon. Likely a relic from salvaged components in your comms system." Juno swore under her breath. "You mean some secondhand part I bolted in last year, just called out to every ancient warlord in the galaxy?" "Correct." Outside the viewport, the alien fleets were closing in. The warships shaped like jagged blades and swirling crescents filled the black. The Dominion's ships burned red, their hulls bristling with spike-like weapons. The Continuum's ships were silver and sleek, their forms shimmering like living metal. Rafe watched their formations change. Both sides had stopped firing at each other completely. Now they were converging directly on Horizon's Folly. They're not here to destroy us, Rafe realized slowly. They're here too. Take something from us. Juno nodded grimly. And if they think we're carrying a weapon, Rafe finished the thought, then they won't stop until they get it. The coms crackled again. This time a voice, deep, guttural, alien, spoke in broken standard. Human vessel, power down. Prepare for boarding. The weapon will be ours. Another voice, smooth and cold, overrode it. Ignore the Dominion. Surrender only to the Continuum, and we may let your crew live, Juno muttered. They're fighting over us like scavengers over a bone. The AI broke in again. Incoming mass readings. Multiple. Boarding craft launched from both fleets. Estimated arrival, 90 seconds. Rafe's hands tightened on the console. 90 seconds until aliens were inside his ship. They had no Marines, no real weapons, just an engineer, a captain, and a ship that was already falling apart. Lock every hatch, Rafe ordered. Seal the corridors. Juno was already moving. Her hands flew over controls, shutting down bulkheads and activating what few internal defenses they had mostly. Automated fire suppression bots that she'd reprogrammed as taser drones. The AI's voice remained calm. But there was an edge now, Captain. We cannot hold both sides off for long. Recommend self-destruct. Rafe gave a sharp laugh. Yeah, not yet. Not unless we have to. Juno glanced at him. You got a plan? He didn't answer. He didn't want to, but because he didn't have one, the first boarding craft hit like a hammer. The ship shuddered as magnetic clamps locked onto the outer hull. Cutting torches hissed. Metal screamed as it was sliced open. Rafe felt the vibration under his boots. They're coming through Deck 3, Juno said. Send the drones. Corridor cameras lit up with static, then cleared to show the boarding point. For towering, alien shapes in crimson armor stepped through the breach. The Zorathi. Their heads were angular, eyes glowing with a dull red light. The first drone zipped around the corner, its taser prongs sparking. Zorathi crushed it in one swipe. Rafe. Cursed, that won't slow them down. A second breach alert blared. Other side of the ship this time. The Vetheri. Their forms were humanoid, but blurred at the edges, their silvery skin rippling like liquid. They moved without sound. The AI updated grimly. Both boarding parties advancing toward engineering. Juno's eyes widened. They're not here to capture us. They're heading for the reactor. Rafe knew why. If the reactor housed precursor tech, that might be the weapon they were looking for. Cut power to the reactor room, he ordered. Juno hesitated. If I do that, we lose half our systems. Do it anyway. She hit the sequence. Lights flickered across the ship. Gravity wavered for a second. Somewhere in the dark, heavy boots thudded on metal alien boots, moving closer. Rafe grabbed a plasma cutter from the wall. It wasn't a weapon, not exactly. But it could cut through steel. Juno armed herself with a shock baton. They moved toward engineering, every step echoing. The corridors were dim, lit only by the red emergency glow. The air smelled of overheated circuits and fear. A shadow moved. Ahead of them, then another. Suddenly the Zorathi were there, filling the corridor. Their armor gleamed like blood under the emergency lights. One raised its weapon, a long, spined rifle, but Rafe fired the cutter. A jet of blue heat slashed across its chest, and the alien howled, staggering back. Juno lunged at another, slamming her baton into its side. Electricity crackled. The alien convulsed, but it didn't fall. From behind liquid movement, the Vetheri were here too, their forms sliding through the air like quicksilver. One reached for Juno with an arm that split into multiple strands, each tipped with a blade. The corridor became chaos. Steel on steel, electricity and heat. Alien voices, shouting in languages no human could understand. And through it all, the ship's AI spoke quietly in Rafe's ear. Captain, I've intercepted communications between the fleets. They believe your ship's signal has triggered an ancient protocol. If this is correct, you're now considered the legitimate heir to the precursor empire. Rafe barely had time to process that before one of the Vetheri lunged for him. He dodged, swinging the cutter, sparks flying as the beam grazed the alien's shimmering form. "Juno!" he shouted. "Fall back to the bridge." They ran. The aliens didn't follow, not yet. Maybe they were searching for the beacon. When they reached the bridge, the AI gave the worst news yet. "Captain, both fleets have stopped advancing toward each other. All ships are now on a direct course for our location. Estimated arrival of main battleships. 4 minutes." Rafe stared at the display. Dozens, no, hundreds, massive warships were converging on one tiny human freighter. The message from command still blinked on his screen. Delay them, at all costs. Juno's voice was quiet now. "Rafe, what if we can't?" He looked at her, then back at the endless wall of ships coming for them. "We can." He didn't believe it, not fully, but he had to sound like he did. The AI cut in one last time, "Captain. Both fleets have issued final warnings. You have 60 seconds to surrender. After that, they will fire." The view screen filled with the terrifying sight of 2 armadas, weapons glowing, targeting systems locking on. 60 seconds, and Horizon's Folly would be gone. For 60 seconds, the galaxy held its breath. On the left, the Zorathi Dominion. On the right, the Valkyrie Continuum. 2 armadas, each older than humanity's entire history, locked their weapons on a single target. A human cargo ship, Horizon's Folly. And then, the human ship's signal pulsed again. One short burst. One ancient frequency. A sound that hadn't been heard in nearly 1,000,000 years. Every alien ship froze. Even in the silence of space, you could almost feel their fear. On the bridge, Rafe's hands gripped the console so hard his knuckles went white. The pulse hadn't come from him, hadn't come from Juno. It hadn't come from any system he'd touched. "AI," he said, voice tight. "What was that? Repeat of precursor distress pattern?" "Automatic broadcast from Comes Array. I did not initiate it." Juno spun in her seat. "Then what did?" The AI hesitated for the first time. "Unknown. Possibly remote activation from external source." Rafe's eyes flicked to the viewport. Both fleets had stopped firing, stopped moving. It was as if someone had pressed pause on an ancient blood feud. "Why aren't they shooting?" he muttered. The AI answered in its calm tone. "They are listening." And then the responses came. From the Dominion's flagship, "The war signal has returned." "The air calls the forge." From the Continuum's command vessel, "The Keeper's voice awakens." "The cycle nears its end." Juno whispered, "What the hell does that mean?" The AI replied, "The signal you are transmitting is a warning trigger. Historical records suggest that once activated, it summons the Peace Forge, an ancient precursor construct designed to end the war between the Dominion and Continuum." Rafe stared at the AI's holographic face. "End the war. How? Unknown. The records are incomplete. The forge may be a weapon or a tool of negotiation, the data suggests. Both on the tactical display." New icons appeared. Not ships, not asteroids, something else. Something. It's moving. Deep in the far reaches of the system, a point of light flared. Then another. Then a chain of them, bright as miniature suns, forming a line straight toward Horizon's Folly. The AI's voice grew quieter. "Something is answering the signal." Juno turned to Rafe, her eyes wide. "This is bad, isn't it?" He didn't answer. His gut told him it was worse than bad. Both alien fleets began moving again, but not toward each other. They were accelerating toward the new lights and dragging Horizon's Folly with them. Literally, gravitational. Beams locked onto the little freighter, hauling her forward like a fishing net catching the smallest fish in the ocean. "Cut us free," Rafe barked. Juno's fingers flew over the controls, rerouting power to thrusters. The engines roared, but the ship didn't move an inch. "They've got us pinned," she said through gritted teeth. The AI confirmed we are now in the combined tractor grip of both fleets. Escape is impossible without destroying our own. Rafe swore. "So we're being escorted." "Correct." Both fleets appear to believe we must reach the signal source alive. Why? Juno demanded. If they think we've got this so-called weapon, why not just take it now? The AI hesitated again, because
that legend says only the heir may activate the forge.
Rafe stared at her. And they think we're the heir? They do not. Think, they are certain. Minutes passed in tense silence as the combined armadas pulled them deeper into the system. The point of light ahead was growing, swelling into a golden sphere. The AI magnified it on the view screen. It was a star, or rather, it had been a star. Now it was dark, a blackened husk of collapsed matter. Until now, the moment the signal pulsed a third time, the star flared. Light exploded outward, bathing the system in gold. Solar winds slammed into the ships, rattling Horizon's folly down to her bolts. Juno shielded her eyes. That's not possible. Dead stars don't just relight themselves. The AI disagreed. Correction. This star was never dead. It was waiting. From the star's heart, something vast began to emerge. Metal. Geometry on a scale that defied human comprehension. A ring, larger than a planet. Slowly unfolded from the star's surface, glowing with the same golden fire, and at the center of that ring, a structure. It looked like a cathedral built by gods, towers miles high, bridges wide enough for cities, all orbiting around a single black core. The AI spoke again, quieter now, as if it feared being overheard.
Ow, the piece.
Forge has awakened. The alien fleet slowed, forming a massive orbit around the forge. Not a single shot was fired. For the first time in 800,000 years, the Dominion and Continuum sat in perfect silence. Rafe could feel the weight of the moment. If this really was the key to ending their war, then humanity, by pure accident, had just stepped into the center of galactic history. Acom's ping sounded. This time it was an alien. The voice that came through was old, not in years and time. It was deep, layered, echoing like it came from 1,000 mouths at once. Heir of the Makers. You are late, Juno froze. Tell me you heard that. Rafe swallowed hard. Who is this? You bear the signal? You will come to the forge. You will choose how the war ends, the AI whispered, almost to itself, the caretaker. AI, it still functions. Rafe gritted his teeth. I don't even know what this thing does. How the hell are we supposed to choose? You will know, the voice replied, or all will burn. And then the transmission ended. The Dominion hailed them first. Human vessel, you will activate the forge for us. We will grant you survival in exchange. Seconds later, the Continuum hailed. Do not listen to the Dominion. Activate the forge for the Continuum. We will protect you for all your days. Juno leaned close to Rafe. They're both lying. Whichever side gets control, they'll crush the other, and then... She didn't answer. We didn't have to. Rafe turned back to the AI. If this forge is as powerful as they think, is there any way to keep it from both of them? The AI was silent for a long time. Then, yes, but you will not survive. Rafe's stomach turned. Before he could answer, the tractor beams shifted. Horizon's Folly was being drawn straight toward a massive docking platform at the forge's edge. The golden light of the reawakened star washed over the freighter's battered hull. Juno whispered, We're really doing this. Rafe didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the forge, growing larger and larger in the viewport until it filled the sky. Somewhere deep inside, that impossible machine was the key to ending the oldest war in the galaxy, and the humans were about to walk right into it. The dead star was breathing. Every few seconds, light surged from deep within its black heart, pulsing like the beat of a colossal heart. And with every pulse, the Horizon's Folly drifted closer, pulled toward the vast golden ring that now circled the star. For 800,000 years, nothing had entered this system. No ship, no living thing. 2 alien armadas and 1 human freighter had arrived, and the forge was waking up. Rafe stood on the bridge, watching the view through the main screen. It filled his vision. A machine the size of a world, suspended above a star's blazing surface. The golden light gleamed off towers taller than mountains. Massive gates, as wide as continents, rotated slowly, their edges glowing with lines of blue fire. The ship's AI broke the silence, docking arms extending from the forge. Trajectory is being altered. We are being pulled into Dock 9. Juno glanced at Rafe. Dock 9 sounds small enough not to swallow us whole. The AI corrected her immediately. Dock 9 is estimated at 400 kilometers in length. Juno blinked. Never mind. The view shifted as the horizon's folly passed through a cloud of drifting metal, broken ships, ancient beyond comprehension. Some were jagged and brutal, like the Dominion's warcraft. Others sleek and alien, like the Continuums. All were wrecks, and all floated here like trophies. Ray frowned. How long have they been here? The oldest wrecks date to the first cycle of the war, the AI said. Approximately 800,000 years ago. The implication hung heavy. Every ship that had come here before had never left. The docking platform loomed ahead, a vast slab of dark alloy, its surface marked with glowing patterns. Like veins of light, the tractor beams released them gently, lowering the battered freighter onto the deck with surprising care. The ship jolted as the magnetic clamps engaged. Then the AI spoke again. Atmosphere detected outside. Composition, oxygen, rich breathable for humans. Rafe exchanged a glance with Juno. So, they want us alive. For now, the AI added. The docking gate in front of them, a massive hexagon of black metal, split into 6 segments. It opened like the petals of a flower, revealing a corridor so large it could swallow a battleship whole. From the darkness inside, a figure emerged. At first, Rafe thought it was human, tall, upright, walking with purpose. But as it drew closer, the truth became clear. Its skin was silver white, with faint glowing lines that shifted like liquid. Its eyes were deep pools of blue light, and its face was expressionless. The AI identified it instantly. Caretaker. Unit. Precursor origin. Fully functional.
Ow.
The caretaker stopped just beyond the docking ramp. When it spoke, its voice echoed as if 1,000 people were speaking in perfect unison. Heir of the Makers, you will follow. Rafe didn't move. What happens if I don't? The caretaker's glowing eyes didn't blink. Then the war continues, till every star in this galaxy is ash. Juno muttered under her breath, no pressure. They followed the caretaker into the forge. The corridor was alive with faint hums and flickers of light. The walls were covered in panels of shifting metal, patterns that flowed like water, under glass. Every so often, a pulse of golden energy rippled through the floor, the same rhythm as the star outside as they walked. The caretaker spoke without turning its head. The war began when the Dominion and the Continuum defied the Maker's command. They refused peace. They destroyed worlds. The Makers built the forge to end the war, but the Makers are gone. Only their heir may wield it now. Rafe's voice was cautious. You keep calling us heir. We're human. We're not. Whatever the Makers were, the caretaker stopped. Slowly it turned its head, the glowing lines along its face shifting faintly. You are the last living branch. Of the Maker's design, your body, your mind, carries their code. Juno frowned. You mean DNA? Correct. The forge responds only to that code. It will obey you, and no one else. They resumed walking. Far ahead, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. A space so vast it felt like standing inside a planet's core. A black sphere floated at the center, suspended by streams of golden light. It was perfectly smooth, perfectly silent. The caretaker gestured toward it. The heart of the forge. Here you will choose. One choice ends the war, but grants victory to one side. The other choice ends the war. For all sides forever. Hesitated. And what's the catch? The second choice requires a keeper, a mind to guide the forge's will. Once chosen, The keeper cannot leave. Ever. Juno's eyes darted to Rafe, but she said nothing. The chamber was surrounded by balconies and walkways, each filled with ancient machines. Some were active, glowing faintly. Others were shattered relics, dust-covered and silent. Rafe stepped closer to the black sphere. He didn't touch it. But he felt something the moment he approached, a weight in his mind, a whisper, like a voice trying to speak. But just beyond hearing, the AI's voice came through his earpiece. "Captain, I am detecting a neural interface field. If you make physical contact, the forge will link to your mind directly," Juno muttered. "Sounds safe." Before Rafe could respond, the chamber's walls lit up with flashing red light. The AI's voice sharpened. Intrusion detected. Dominion forces have breached Dock 9. Continuum forces have breached Dock 7. Both are advancing toward your location. The caretaker turned toward the corridors. "They will not harm the heart while you live, but if you fall, they will try to take it." Rafe exhaled slowly. "So we either make a choice now, or fight them off until we can." Juno's grip tightened on her shock baton. "Guess which one I vote for." Outside the chamber, the sound of alien weapons echoed. Boots heavy and metallic from the Dominion. Strange slithering hiss from the Continuum. They weren't fighting each other anymore. We're both coming for the humans. The caretaker moved to the center of the chamber, its glowing lines shifting into sharp, jagged patterns. "Choose air, or we will be overrun." Rafe's mind spun. Choose one side and doom the other. Choose both and doom himself. Juno's voice broke through his thoughts. "Rafe, whatever you do, don't let them win." The sound of weapons fire drew closer. The balcony above erupted in sparks as Dominion soldiers smashed through. From the opposite walkway, the silver, fluid forms of the Continuum flowed down like living rivers. The caretaker's voice thundered through the chamber. "Choose." Rafe's hand hovered inches from the black sphere. He could feel it pulling him closer. Whispers. Filling his mind now. Clearer. "End it." "Keeper. End it." And then the first alien soldier leaped from the balcony toward him. Transmission from the Horizon's Folly. Encrypted Priority 1. All human channels. The words echoed in 1,000 human outposts before the message even started. Miners in the asteroid belts paused mid-swing. Freighters in deep space stopped their engines. Even the captains of sleek Navy destroyers leaned closer to their screens. The image resolved. Juno sat in the captain's chair, uniform still scorched from battle. Behind her, the stars rolled slowly past. Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried something deeper. "Juno, this is Engineer Juno Ellen, acting captain of the Horizon's Folly. I am speaking to Earth, the United Systems, and to every species with ears to hear. 3 days ago, the Forge woke up. You know the myths, the weapon that could end the 800,000-year war? They're not myths. They're real, and they're dangerous. The Dominion came for it. The Continuum came for it. We stopped them. But the Forge will not let anyone take its power. Ever if you come near it again. You won't be coming back." Screen cut to black. Then a single symbol appeared, a circle of gold light slowly spinning. It was burned into every receiver. Somewhere far beyond human space, the Dominion High Council met in a chamber of crystal and fire. Their leader, War Prince Zacher, leaned forward, claws tapping the table. "So, the Forge has chosen a human," another counselor snarled. "Impossible. The humans are barely past dirt farming." Zachar's eyes glowed. "And perhaps dirt. Farmers make the best keepers. They have nothing to lose. And no fear of giants." Deep in the liquid halls of the Continuum, the prime flow rippled with agitation. This warning is a threat. The human speaks with the Forge's authority. Other liquid forms swirled, merging and separating. "We have fought the Dominion for almost 1,000,000 years. If the Forge denies us both, then perhaps we must unite." The chamber fell. Silent, the thought was unthinkable. And yet, inside the Forge, Rafe could feel the ripples his message had caused. Not in sound or vision, but in the shifting patterns of light across the galaxy map in his mind. Worlds flared like candles of curiosity. War fleets glimmered like knives in the dark. And somewhere too far to see clearly, something old. And watching moved, the forge whispered, "They will come. All of them. Your words have bought time, but not peace." Rafe leaned on the balcony, gazing at the galactic map. "And we'd better use that time, aboard the Horizon's Folly." Juno sat in the darkened bridge. The AI had stopped speaking after the broadcast, as if it understood that her mind was far away. She kept thinking about his face, about the way he'd touched the sphere without hesitation, and about the promise she'd made. She didn't know if he could hear her, but she spoke anyway. "I'll get you out of there, Rafe, no matter what the Forge says." The stars ahead were cold and empty. Juno's eyes burned like fire, and in the shadows of the galaxy, an unmarked ship listened to the broadcast in silence. Its captain, a human, but wearing no uniform, smiled faintly. "Looks like the rumors were true. The Forge is awake." Shadowy figure beside him asked, "Do we inform the Directorate?" Captain shook his head. "No, we're going to get there first." Above the dead star, the Forge pulsed, once faint, almost unnoticeable. Inside, Rafe's hand tightened on the railing. He could feel something moving toward him, fast. The war wasn't over. It had only shifted into something far more dangerous. The camera closes on Juno's face as she reads the message. Her hands tremble. One line glows in red across the screen: "By order of the United Systems High Command, you're to hand over the Forge immediately. Failure to comply will be considered treason." She looks up. A Navy battleship is dropping out of warp in front of the Horizon's Folly. Its guns are already hot. Cut to black. The title fades in. The enemy WITI. Chiano's voice was tight as she opened the com. "This is Acting Captain Juno Ellen of the Horizon's Folly. We have secured the Forge. We are not surrendering it." The reply came like a hammer. "You don't have a choice." The battleship's captain appeared. Sharp uniform, cold eyes. "We've been given full authority to seize the Forge. If you resist, we will open fire." Inside the Forge, Rafe was not blind to what was happening. Through the Forge's strange map of minds and machines, he could sense human warships surrounding the Folly. He could also sense their intent. Greed burned hotter than any alien hatred. The Forge whispered again, "The species that wakes me always, seeks to own me always." Rafe gritted his teeth. "We're not all like that." The Forge's light dimmed. "We will see. Meanwhile on Earth." In a hidden meeting room beneath the spire of Unity, 3 men and 1 woman sat around a black glass table. They were not elected. They were not public. They were the Directorate. One man, his hair pure silver, spoke first. "High Command has the Forge in its sights, but they'll fail. Ellen is stubborn. The Forge will not yield to force." The woman smiled faintly. "Then we'll use something stronger than force." A screen lit up with Juno's personnel file. Her history. Her debts. Her losses. "Everyone has a lever," the woman said. "We just have to pull it." Back on the Horizon's Folly.
Yeah.
The Navy battleship had launched boarding craft. No. Watched them streak toward her ship like iron wasps. She didn't have Rafe's voice in her ear anymore, only the Forge's eerie silence. The AI spoke instead. "Captain Ellen, I can vent every airlock and destroy the boarding parties before they land." Juno hesitated. "They're human. They are not here to help." Her hands hovered over the command screen. She had seconds to decide. Inside the Forge, Rafe could feel the tension through the link. Juno was on the edge of a choice she couldn't take back, he focused, trying to push a thought across the distance. "Don't do it." But the Forge resisted. "If she kills them, her own kind will call her traitor. If she lets them live, they will take me from you." The war outside the Forge was not fought with ships and guns anymore. It was fought with loyalty and betrayal. In the shadows of the galaxy, the unmarked human ship from before drifted closer. To the dead star, its captain watched the chaos unfolding in encrypted feeds. "Perfect," he murmured. "Let the Navy soften them up. Then we'll take the Forge while they're bleeding." His crew nodded. Humans fighting humans was the perfect cover. Juno's finger tapped the command screen. Outside, the boarding craft were seconds from latching onto the hull. Inside the forge, Rafe's hand tightened on the railing as the sphere's light grew hotter. The Navy captain's voice echoed through the comm. "This is your last chance, Ellen. Open your doors, or be destroyed." The AI whispered, "Choose." And the screen cut to black. The boarding craft slammed against the Horizon's Folly's hull. Metal screamed. Juno stood at the control panel, sweat running down her face, her hand hovering over the airlock purge command. The Navy captain's voice echoed again. "Open. Up or die." Then another voice whispered in her ear. It was Rafe. "Don't kill them. Not yet. I have a plan." Cut to black. Title card. One last KOIC at the moment froze in Juno's mind. If she purged the airlocks, she'd save the forge. From the Navy, but she'd be a murderer. If she let them in, they'd take it. Maybe use it to wipe out entire alien worlds. "Juno." Rafe's voice came again, faint and strained. "I can make the forge, talk to both fleets, but it'll need all of me." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean all?" There was a long pause. "You won't be able to get me back. Inside the forge?" Rafe stood on the bridge-like platform deep inside the glowing sphere. The forge's light wrapped around him, threads of energy sinking into his skin. "If you do this," the forge whispered, "you will cease as you were. You will become part of me." "Forever," Rafe smirked faintly. "Yeah, sounds better than watching the galaxy burn." Outside, the alien fleets were seconds from clashing, tens of thousands of ships moving like blades drawn from scabbards. The human Navy battleship had its guns locked on the Horizon's Folly. Every captain, every gunner, every AI was ready to kill. And then a pulse. Not light, not sound, something deeper. Every ship and every fleet felt it, like a sudden memory. Of home, the forge speaks through the pulse. Rafe's voice spread not just as sound, but as thought. It reached humans, aliens, even AIs. 800,000 years, and none of you can even remember why you fight. The war is over. Stand down, or you will face me. Ships shuddered. Weapons powered down. On alien bridges, hardened warlords gripped their chairs with pale knuckles. The forge spoke through him again. "If you fire again, you will be erased, not by an enemy, but by the weight of your own history." On the Horizon's Folly, Juno watched her screens in disbelief as the Navy boarding craft stopped mid-approach. Alien ships halted too. The two great fleets that had been ready to tear each other apart just drifted in silence. "Rafe," she whispered. The forge answered instead. "He's here. But he is no longer what he was. The price the fleets withdrew over the next hours." The Navy battleship turned without firing. No shots, no pursuit, no war. But Rafe never came back through the airlock. Juno stood at the viewing port, staring at the vast silver sphere of the forge. It pulsed once, faintly, like a heartbeat, and in her mind, she heard him softer than a breath. "Keep flying, Juno." Epilogue months later, whispers spread across human space. The war was truly over. Trade routes opened between former enemies. Now the forge still floated in silence above the dead star, its new guardian unseen. On the Horizon's Folly, Juno sat in the captain's chair. It still smelled faintly of engine grease and old coffee. The weakest ship in the galaxy now carried the weight of peace. And somewhere, deep inside the forge, Rafe watched the stars. Not as a man, but as something eternal. The end. The alien soldier was already midair. Rafe didn't think his hand slammed into the black sphere. The world exploded. A white gold light ripped through the chamber, blinding everyone. The Dominion soldier froze mid-leap, body caught in a glowing web of energy. The silver liquid forms of the continuum halted, their shapes trembling as if trapped by invisible chains. The sphere beneath Rafe's hand pulsed once, twice, and then the light poured into him. He could feel the forge in his mind. It's not like a voice, but like an ocean he'd fallen into. Endless. Alive. Old beyond comprehension. Images flashed in his head, whole galaxies spinning, stars forming and dying, ancient wars fought across millions of worlds, and beneath it all, the same question, whispered again and again. What will you choose, heir? Rafe staggered but stayed upright. His voice was rough. I choose. No one wins. The forge paused. Then it understood. Golden tendrils shot out from the sphere, wrapping around the frozen Dominion soldier, then the continuum shapes, pulling them upward into the air. Both sides screamed, not in pain but in rage as the energy stripped their weapons, their armor, their war machines. Juno's eyes widened. You're disarming them! Rafe's voice came from far away. No, I'm ending them. The alien soldiers dissolved into motes of light, not killed, but reduced to raw energy. That energy flowed back into the sphere, feeding it. Growing brighter then, the chamber trembled. Caretaker's voice was calm but urgent. You have chosen the path of balance. This will awaken the full power of the forge, but the cost remains. Juno glanced at Rafe. What cost? Caretaker looked at him with glowing eyes. You must stay. Your mind will be bound to the forge forever. It will use your thoughts, your will, to hold the war apart. Without you, it will begin again. Juno stepped forward. Wait, there has to be another way. But she stopped when she saw Rafe's face. He already knew. Outside the chamber, explosions rocked the forge's corridors. More Dominion ships had docked. More continuum assault waves were flooding in. Rafe's voice was steady. Get back to the horizon's folly, now. Juno's jaw clenched. Like hell I will. He cut her off with a look. You've got to tell Earth what's here, and you've got to make them understand. This can't fall into anyone's hands. Her voice cracked. You're asking me to leave you here too? He smiled faintly. I'm not asking. I'm ordering, engineer. The word hit harder than she expected. She swallowed, nodded once, then turned toward the exit, but the caretaker stepped in front of her. The path to your ship is blocked. I will clear it. Juno gave Rafe one last look. Don't you dare vanish without saying goodbye. Didn't answer. He just put his hand back on the sphere, and the forge roared to life. Through the forge's senses, Rafe saw everything at once. He saw Dominion dreadnoughts opening fire on continuum flagships above the forge. He saw their weapons sputter and die as golden energy wrapped around them. He saw boarding parties in the corridors, frozen in place, then dissolved into harmless light, and deeper still. He saw the heart of the dead star. It wasn't dead at all. A vast engine turned within it, a machine the size of a solar system, built by the makers to power the forge forever. Every beat of that engine was another surge of energy into Rafe's mind. It should have killed him, but it didn't. He was human, and humans didn't break that easily. The Dominion fleet began to retreat. Their commanders, realizing their weapons no longer worked, the continuum forces followed, their liquid bodies streaming back toward their ships. But Rafe wasn't letting them go unmarked. He sent one last pulse of golden light through the system, embedding a signal deep into their ships, a warning that the forge would watch them forever. Above the forge, the two great fleets vanished into faster-than-light jumps, leaving the horizon's folly alone in the golden light. Juno reached the docking bay, with the caretaker beside her. The old freighter looked even smaller against the forge's titanic walls. She stopped at the airlock and looked back toward the chamber. I'll come back for him, she said quietly. The caretaker tilted its head. If you return, the forge will not let you take him. But you may speak to him. Through the light, Juno's voice was firm. Then tell the light to keep him alive. The caretaker didn't answer. It didn't have to. On the bridge of the horizon's folly, Juno took the captain's chair for the first time. The AI's voice was softer than usual. Shall I plot a course for Earth? She hesitated. Yeah, but not straight home. We're going to make a few stops. Purpose. Juno's eyes narrowed. We're going to tell everyone what happened here. We're going to make sure no one, Dominion, Continuum, or anyone else comes near this place again. The AI paused, acknowledged. The horizon's folly lifted from the dock. As it pulled away, the golden light of the forge shimmered one last time, like a farewell. Juno smiled faintly. Don't go turning into a machine on me, Rafe. Freighter jumped to FTL. The forge drifted in silence above the star, its heart still glowing, and a human mind watching over it. Inside the forge, Rafe opened his eyes. He was no longer standing in the chamber. Instead, he stood on a balcony that overlooked the galaxy itself, a vast, living map of every star, every ship, every battle. The forge whispered in his mind, "We will keep them apart. We will hold the line forever." Rafe nodded. Then let's get to work.